Hello, are we live? Hello. I'm just waiting to see. I see people in the chat. I'm waiting to see. Ooh, okay. I think we've got 17 people in the room. Hello. This is really awkward by myself this time. Everyone, someone let me know in the chat. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay, I see some hellos popping up. Hello, hello. Yay. I see Mia, I see Lisa, I see Avi, Christiana. Yay. Happy Friday, everyone. Okay, yep, can see and hear. Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. Yay. Hi, Mia. Aw, hi, everyone. This is so much fun. Okay. Yep. Hello, everyone. There we go. Hello and welcome. Welcome to my second live stream. This is exciting. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate this because I feel like I'm going to feel awkward doing these for quite a while. I'm currently enrolled in a Master of Education, but I'd like to be a professor some days and write books on the side. What do you recommend for PhD programs? Ooh, like this could be the topic of a whole live stream by itself. Number one, I'd say research the job you want to get. So, like, obviously, if you want to be a professor, then you are going to need a PhD for that. You might want to try teaching part-time, teaching as an adjunct, just to get a sense of how you like that. Once you've decided definitely a PhD, then I would really look into like what are the best PhD programs for your field. And if you can find people who've done their PhD in those programs, talk to them. Talking to students who are currently enrolled in that program is always a good thing. Researching the faculty that you would be working with, I think, is really important. I was lucky that when I did my PhD, I did my PhD in the same program I did my master's in, so I already knew all the faculty. That was one of the reasons why they were on my list. The other programs I applied to, I was really researching heavily who were the faculty in the program that I would be doing, who would I be most likely to work with on my particular research project. So yeah, it's talk to other like I don't know anything about like education. If you're doing a PhD in education or something, so find other education grad students. Like Instagram was a huge place for me to connect with the online community. This isn't sponsored, but my friend Kaylin runs a community for grad students and academics called Accepted Society. There's a ton of people in there who can give advice. So I think it'd be worth joining even for just a month or two to kind of help you do this research. But yeah, it's a big topic. I don't know that I have a ton of helpful advice, partly because it's changed. Like I finished my PhD in 2018, and a lot of how to research programs, what to think about when doing a PhD these days, a lot of that has changed even in just the past several years. But that's exciting. I'm really excited for you. Tabby is saying, rocking my matching heat pad and gray. Yeah, I've got, it's on too. I don't have it draped over me, but every now and then I lean back just so I can get the heat on my on my shoulder. I've been doing a lot of work here at the couch. Joking aside, you'd be best served by also finding out your possible PhD. Yes, this for sure. So why researching the faculty is different. Also, I would think answering your question also answering this question also depends on, are you US or international? Because international PhDs tend to be very different from US PhDs. So any advice I have is primarily for US PhDs, where here in the US, most PhD programs, you go through a couple years of coursework before you start working directly with your supervisor on your project. So you've got a little bit of time to feel out the faculty and decide, like, fully decide who you want to work with. So I wouldn't go somewhere in the US unless there's at least 3 people on faculty who would be good potential advisors. Then once you get there, you can kind of get to know them a little bit more and narrow it down. But for most international PhDs, you get accepted based on your project and who you want to work with. So there's a lot more you've got to research ahead of time. So good point. Avi, thank you. It's Friday, so I'm in a good mood. It's Friday. Oh, okay, this is a good question. I curious what you think about Michael Haug's, I don't know how to pronounce his name, 6-stage plot structure approach to novel writing. I feel like I need to do a whole video on this. There's a lot, like, I've never read Save the Cat. There's a lot, like, I know certain plot structures, but I don't know them. Like, I've never read about the 6-stage plot structure. So I don't really have opinions. I think whatever plot structure works for you is really good. I kind of developed my own plot structure that's probably a mix of 3-act with, I don't know, I feel like I'm heavily influenced by the chick lit novels that I've read, which are probably all some variation of a 3-act structure. But then I've studied a lot of plays, so I also am aware of the 5-act structure. And then as I was getting into writing romance, I read Gwen Hayes's Romancing the Beat. So there's a little bit of that. I think that also has influenced some of the novels that I've read, that I read like 2015 to 2018 as I was like working on finishing up my first romance novel. So that was probably also being internalized into my process even before I knew about Romancing the Beat. But yeah, I wish I had a better answer. I don't have yeah, I don't have a solid answer for that because I've never read it. But I'm intrigued. I'm gonna have to, where's a sticky note? I'm gonna have to write that down. So 6-stage plot structure. Sorry, I know this is boring watching me write stuff down. I'm having fun with this, but live, I worry that live is not my thing. I like being able to edit myself. Lisa's here listening while she's working, crafting how to respond to a work email that was clearly generated by AI. Yeah, I feel like this is becoming a lot more common. It's like, if you can't be bothered to write your email, why should I be bothered to reply to it? Who's still buried under snow? Let me know. Also, let me know where you're streaming in from. Where are you watching from? Susan, I showed off this heating pad during Vlogmas and got a bunch of you all hooked on it. I think it's fantastic because it comes down and wraps around your neck and shoulders. So love it. Got it on Amazon. I don't have a link for you though. I can try to dig that out somewhere. Okay, I'm going to come back to Renee, but forward looking, I like that. Reply with the first line. Dear AI, tell so-and-so to write their own emails next time. Renee, advice on creating and writing characters that interconnect throughout the series. How do you figure out your connections? Ooh, I like this question. For me, it really comes down to in the early developmental stages of like a series. But even with Across the Pond, it was a little bit different because I didn't write the first book of that intending it to be a series. But when I wrote book 2, I started thinking about that a bit more. So it's for me, it's been friend groups. So with the Independent Heart series, I knew I was going to start that series off with 5 women, 5 books, and they were all going to run a different independent business on this high street, and they'd all be friends. And so that's how they're all connected. And then each of those women has, siblings and family, and that gives me more people to play with and like put on the playing board of the story. With Across the Pond, in book 1, I mentioned that Eleanor has 2 friends. They come over in one of the early chapters, friends back in Arizona. And then Eleanor makes friends when she gets to London. And then I just kept growing the friend group to be able to have more stories to tell. So friends are a great way to connect your characters, like having the story built around people that are all part of the same friend group. Families as well. When you look at interconnected series, it tends to be like either 5 best friends or 4 brothers or 6 sisters or however many people, but they're all connected by something like that, either a friendship group, a family group. But you could also do things like classmates, people who meet in other ways, co-workers. Maybe the story is all based around one company. And so each book in the series, I'm assuming that's kind of part of what you're asking about. Each book in the series is then a different person who works at that company. And maybe they're only slightly connected, the characters. They don't have a ton of interactions, but they have some. So that might be something. That's another way you can do it. So yeah, for me, the connections kind of come naturally, but yeah. Good question. Avi, I'd watch you build Legos. Maybe we should do that one day. Any Luke and Ava updates? Well, it's almost February, so I need to start writing their February chapter. It will be Valentine's Day themed, so it will go up on or around Valentine's Day. Can I see my count? Yeah, it looks like Valentine's Day is a Saturday. So yeah, it probably will go up on Valentine's Day. That gives me some time. So yeah, and that's all I'm going to tell you. They're having a fantastic time in LA. I mean, that's what I'm envisioning. I've not really done anything with them since the last scene I wrote, because I've been so back full force into Across the Pond 5. But yeah. So we've got Arlington, Texas. Best wishes from Morocco. I can't believe people are watching in Morocco. Scotland. I bet it's cold in Scotland. Pennsylvania, New York border. Kansas City is still under snow. Oh no. All the time, I lived in Kansas, near Kansas City, a couple different times, 3 years total. We never got snow like this. It snowed a little bit, but not much. I used to live in the Leavenworth area, first on Fort Leavenworth and then in Lansing. Poland. Oh, I'd love to visit Poland one day. A sunny, almost summer day in New Zealand. San Diego. Yeah, warm and sunny. It's warm and sunny here too. I think it's gotten up to 75 here today. Czech Republic. Oh, I'd love to be in the Czech Republic right now. Florida, Los Angeles, 80 degrees. Buried in cold in Michigan, but it's sunny. Cold but sunny is nice. I like cold but sunny. Got another Michigan, Chicago. Okay. See, when I don't have Becca here, I don't have someone to keep the chat going while I'm reading the chat. Hot in Trinidad. I shudder to think what our ancestors did before AC was invented. Same here in Phoenix. Like, I shudder to think how the white settlers survived here, because we know that for the indigenous communities, there's a really amazing ruin up on the way to Sedona called Tuzigoot, and they've reconstructed part of the middle bit so that you can feel what it feels like inside. And the time that we went to visit, it was like 95, 100 degrees. And you walked into this space, it's all built out of stone, and it immediately dropped to like 80 degrees in there. So the native communities knew how to stay cool for the most part. But for the white settlers who came in here, with all their wool clothing and like women wearing multiple layers of skirts and petticoats, I don't know how they did it. Yay, JC's here. We're up to 64 people now. I'm very impressed. I'm debating whether to use Scrivener or Google Docs for writing projects. Will you be doing another video on how you use Scrivener for writing your books? Yes, I have another Scrivener tips video. So like more tips you might not know about or more features you might not know about. But if there's any other kind of starter's guide or something, if there's anything that my existing Scrivener videos haven't answered for you, feel free to let me know. DM me on Instagram or on Patreon, or comment on a video and let me know, and I can add those in. Obviously, my preference between Scrivener and Google Docs is Scrivener. I did write most of More Than Fate in Google Docs because I was co-writing it with Tamsin. I will say, if you're going to use Google Docs, make each chapter its own doc. The longer a doc gets in Google Docs, the more it glitches. Just keep your docs small, one doc per chapter, and then later you can compile all of them. Desiree is here. Yay. Desiree and I needed to schedule a time for us to both stream together. So trying to get caught up on the chat. A lot of people streaming from colder places, but we've got one person at least from Arizona. That's exciting. Sarka, I don't care. That still sounds like perfect weather, so I still kind of wish I was in the Czech Republic. I am definitely like, my Scandinavian heritage definitely shows when it comes to my tolerance of heat and cold. I am, as the Scandinavian saying goes, I'm a firm believer there's no such thing as bad weather, just insufficient clothing. So below freezing is fine as long as I have enough layers. This is a really good point, Jordan. When it comes to software, I am a huge fan of software that you buy once and then you own. And so I'm also tired of the way that so many programs have moved towards a monthly or annual subscription. They like to think the annual somehow makes it better, but it's like, if it's something you're going to be using every year indefinitely, you end up spending so much more money than if you just used something you paid a few $100s for and then owned outright. Like vellum for formatting is really expensive. Like I would say it's like $270 something dollars, where it was when I got vellum. Which, just for clarification, I'm talking about vellum, the book formatting software, not vellum AI. That's a whole separate thing. And for me, vellum is worth its weight in gold. And I was more than happy even before I used it. Although what I liked about vellum is you can start formatting for free. You just can't export your finished file until you pay for it. So you can start using it and be playing around with formatting your first book for an indefinite amount of time. You just won't be able to export it to do anything with it until you pay for it. But I am all about the lifetime license. Give me a lifetime license. So we've got Wales, we've got someone from Flagstaff. Hi, Kelsey. Flagstaff would be, honestly, if I stay in Arizona long term, which obviously we all know I want to move to the UK or somewhere else in Europe, but if I stayed in Arizona, at some point I would have to move up to Flagstaff, because living in Southern Arizona, it's too much. Ooh, see, Obsidian is another one. I need to learn how to use it, because I feel like that one has such a steep learning curve. At least that's been my experience so far. I think it might be getting a little bit better, but I think once I've learned how to use it, I will really, really love it. Yeah, it's funny. Never heard of Scrivener until this channel. Wild how regions and disciplines have different preferred tools. It is funny. And I think, no one should feel like they've got to completely switch up their process because of one YouTube video. Like, I would never expect anyone to suddenly start using nothing but Scrivener. If you've already got a program that works for you, stick with that, because adjusting to a new software can be a big distraction. But if you're looking for something new, again, not sponsored, I've got no affiliation with Scrivener. I'm just spreading the good word. I love Scrivener so much. So I love how you all like indulge me in talking about the weather. I'm just reading the chat, y'all. Yes, Desiree. I miss the days of just, back in the day, you could just buy Microsoft Word and be done with it. Now, yeah, it's just, yeah. And once you learn Scrivener, it is a great writing tool to save and back up everything. And as one friend learned, be very, very careful if you start deleting the backups. Like, just be careful. See, I've not used Atticus, but I have heard really good things about it, especially if you're not a Mac user. So I think if I wasn't a Mac user, Atticus is what I would be heavily looking into for formatting, but also I think you can do writing in it as well. But I'd say if you're already a Mac owner, I would totally look into Vellum. And a number of people I think have done pretty good like side-by-side comparisons of Atticus and Vellum. But overall, I have used a lot of Kindlepreneur resources. They're the developer of Atticus, and I really like what Dave Chesson is doing. So, oh, see, okay, yeah. full-time artist, once Adobe switched to a monthly subscription model, I moved to Procreate. And now Adobe is Pro AI. So like I still use Photoshop. Obviously, I don't use any of the AI tools, but I'm really annoyed that like I've got to be aware of that. I use Photoshop for helping me finish up on the digital end my book covers. But I have Procreate. I need to look into Procreate more. And I think there are some other like Photoshop alternatives that I've been wanting to look into. And this is so true. There are too many shiny products to play around with. You know, Avi, we can totally still be friends. I know people who love Google Docs. I use Google Docs all the time at work. I swear by Google Docs as a teacher. All of my teaching materials, all of my syllabus work, all of my assignments, everything is in Google Docs. I love that I can then share stuff with my students if I make changes. Like everything in my learning management system is like all the assignment sheets are a Google Doc that I then link to in Canvas. And that way, if I make any changes in the Google Doc, I don't have to upload a new file on Canvas. So I do really like Google Docs for a lot of things. I just do not like it for writing my novels. How do you use Vellum to format? Vellum is a separate file or a separate software program, and how do I love Vellum? Let me count the ways. What are all the things that Vellum can do? Basically, Vellum can do almost everything. I'd say if you've got, and they keep adding features. So I think now you can do like image backgrounds as like the first page of a new chapter. I don't know if they can do printed edges yet. But they keep adding stuff. There's a lot of ways you can customize it. I don't even use that much. Like I don't go to that much detail, but it's literally as simple as the click of a button, and then it applies your settings to your whole manuscript. I think I've shown this in a video. Can I search? I've got my YouTube channel open on another window. Can I search my own videos? Do I mention Vellum anywhere? I'm trying to see if I've done a video. I have done my favorite writing tools 3 years ago. I can pop that link in the chat. It looks like I talk about Vellum there. I might show that a little bit, but I can try to show in a future video how Vellum works. But you can also look up there's some great tutorials out there, and it's amazing. Ooh, Lisa, we're going to have to talk about Publisher Rocket. I'd love to know what you think about that, because I've looked into considering that, but I don't know. See, this is the problem. When you're subscribing to all these things, it does add up. And I don't know any small business owner, and that's essentially what indie authors are. I don't know what small business owner, unless your business is like developed to a point, who can afford hundreds of dollars of subscriptions each month? Yeah, I almost got Publisher Rocket. They were doing a discount before they switched to the subscription model, and I didn't do it. I'm probably going to regret that, but oh well. Nothing beats pen and paper. And that's why I say if you want to be a writer, you don't need any of the fancy bells and whistles to get started. You just need something to write on and something to write with. That's literally all you need. Welcome, Deb. You got me live. It's so good to see so many of you. Like a lot of you, I see a lot of people who were on the first one, and then some people who weren't on the first one. So this is a common thing. People want Vellum, but they don't own a Mac. Honestly, I like, if you are going to be doing a lot of publishing, I kind of recommend getting a refurbished. I think the MacBook Airs are probably going to be the cheapest ones. Like, I have a MacBook Pro. No one needs it quite that powerful. But as long as you're not doing a ton of things, like, the only reason I have a MacBook Pro is because I do the cover design work, I do all the YouTube work, I do all my writing. Like, this computer is a workhorse. I use the heck out of it. But if all you're doing on the Mac is formatting, then just the most basic Mac will run Vellum. Like, make sure that it's new enough that it will run Vellum, but like a refurbished one should run Vellum. And as long as you're not also trying to do all your YouTube stuff and streaming and things like that, because I know Desiree does all of that as well, a simple Mac will at least help you with Vellum, and I kind of think it's worth it. See, InDesign's Adobe, and I would love to move away from Adobe, but if you know how to use something like InDesign, that would be how you can do even more things than Vellum can do. But like, as someone who doesn't know how to use InDesign or Illustrator or all the other Adobe stuff, like, if you hired a professional formatter, you could probably do some like even cooler things. But I think a lot of people advertising book formatting services these days are using Vellum themselves. This is good to know. For fast release tropes and KDP categories, Publisher Rocket is absolutely worth it. Because I feel like categories is something that I'm probably not that good at, but oh, sorry to ask again, but I'm just curious if anyone is going to AWP conference this March in Baltimore. I am not. Conferences are something I would love to start doing. I'm just not there yet. But, yeah, now that Lisa and I are besties, maybe she can help me out. This is such a good point. The beauty of technology now is that there's something for everyone. There's no right or wrong tool. Use what works and supports your creative process. Absolutely. And I know a lot of people, both creative writers and nonfiction writers, who have like been dabbling in and trying out different technologies in the past year, and they're now kind of returning back to the tried and true, the thing that they've done all their previous writing on, that they know work. Sometimes, like, I think anytime I've tried like working in Google Docs with Tamsin, like, I still came back to Scrivener, because Scrivener is what I know and what I love. So I can be tempted, I can be seduced by new technology, but then I always come back. So see, a lot of people recommending Atticus. It's been around now for a good few years, if not longer than that. Since 2020, time is very wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, to quote the doctor. So yeah, I don't know what time is anymore. But Atticus has been around for a bit, and it seems like a lot of writers, particularly those using PCs, are really liking Atticus. Okay, so first, I love that you noticed that. And I also love, so I'll be saying, for anyone listening, love that your last voiceover video featured clips from your Write With Me in London video. Still my favorite writing sprint video to use. I love that you're still watching that. Like, that video tanked that video did so badly because it's not a vlog. It's just me sitting in a coffee shop in London writing. But I loved editing. I loved filming it and I loved editing it. And I got nervous after putting that one up because it just didn't do well. But I have a Write With Me on a train going from York to Oxford that's the exact same format. And I used some of those clips in the most recent vlog, which, by the way, if you watched the why you should write your novel or how to write your novel in 2026 video that went up on Wednesday. Thank you. I love that that video is reaching so many people. But yeah, in that video, I also used some of the clips in one of the segments of the writing on a train. So I do need to do that. I mentioned that in a video back before Vlogmas, and people were saying they would be interested in it. So maybe I need to just do another one of those before I go back to England and film some more things. And again, that's not an announcement. That's just a wish. Nothing new to report there. If you want to write a novel, Carly, write a novel. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. I feel like, and I talk about this, so if you haven't watched the most recent vlog on the channel, go watch that one. It's less than 20 minutes or about 20 minutes. It's all a voiceover vlog, but lots of fun, inspirational, motivational writing, clips of me writing along with it. But the whole theme of that video is to not be scared and to write your novel. If you want to write a novel, write a novel. This is going to be one of the big things I'm focusing on with all of the content this year. It's nearly 10 years that I've been on YouTube now, and I have loved every year. And I love the community that's grown, which, by the way, first time I'm kind of being able to say this, but we're at 12K now, which is really exciting. And so after all these years and this amazing community that's grown, I get so many comments from people saying exactly this, that you've always dreamed of writing a novel, but you don't know how, you're scared, you don't have time, insert whatever reason or mindset issue has been holding you back. And this is the year I want you to start. And so a lot of my videos are going to have that theme. So Carly, you are in the right place. You are among the right people. We are all here to encourage you. Just start writing down your ideas. Start developing them and then start outlining them, or just start writing them, and just one step at a time. I see a lot of you are already starting to give Carly some advice. I feel like I'm so behind in the chat. I'm well behind all of you. Speaking of Vlogmas, I'm so fascinated by the commitment. I tried and my neurodivergent brain immediately rejected the commitment. How do you manage consistent filming? I get this so many times whenever Vlogmas comes back around. How do you do it? I don't know how you do it. Time, years of practice. And also I feel like this is the least helpful answer, but I just so passionately love Vlogmas. It was like my favorite thing to watch on YouTube before I started doing YouTube myself. And so when I started YouTube, I knew that if I was still making videos by that December, because I started in April, and I knew if I was still making videos by December, I was going to have to do Vlogmas and just see what I could do. Vlogmas for me has been like, I feel like I've been a frog slowly boiling in water. The first year I did it, the vlogs were much shorter. I'd have to go back. I'd have to look through my channel, but I want to say they were like on average between 10 and 15 minutes. Because my first year I was too scared to do long videos. It wasn't really the trend, and I didn't have that big of an audience. I was afraid I was going to alienate the audience I had. And then each year they just got progressively longer and more involved, and the editing became a bit more complicated and stuff like that. But I love it. I just feel like the Christmas angels are on my side, and that's the only way I get through. Also, I will say, it's January 30th. I'm still exceptionally burned out because of Vlogmas and writing the Patreon story. Like, I have honestly been surprised by how exhausted I have been in this month. It's just been amazing. So next year I will be doing things a little bit differently with Vlogmas. There will still be a Vlogmas, but I will probably pre-film some videos. I will still make those really cozy and really festive, but I want to pre-film at least 4 or 5 so that I can take at least 1, if not 2 days a week off of vlogging. So, but Vlogmas, it's not for the faint-hearted. It's really not. Avi asks, I know you've had writing students discover your booktube channel. Have any of them discovered your books? Yes. I mean, it's not so much they've discovered, I tell them about them. Like, I don't sell my books to my students. I'm not like, hey, I wrote these novels, go buy them. But I mentioned that I'm an indie author, because for me, that's part of what kind of gives me credibility to talk about writing and business writing in particular. But even in my first year comp classes, I think it makes them understand a little bit better that, like, I don't just teach writing, I do writing. I am a writer. And so when I'm talking about and teaching them about the writing process and things like that, I know what I'm talking about. And so I think they listen a little bit more. So I do tell them about my books. I just kind of mention it here and there. I never mention specific titles, but some of them eventually ask, oh, what genre do you write? Or they just look me up. So yeah, I don't hide those things from my students. I don't promote it to them, but I don't hide it. I love JC. Vlogmas isn't for the weak. No. And I don't think you're weak if you can't hack it with Vlogmas. I think it's not so much that Vlogmas isn't for the weak. I think Vlogmas is for the completely unhinged. That's me. So I admit it. Should I admit that on the internet? This is, again, live. I need to be careful what I say. So yeah, I remember the vlog was when your arm was acting up and you realized it was because you were holding the vlog camera every day in December. Yep. I need to do my arm workouts in the lead up to December. Oh, Deb, you are the reason I got through December. Christmas time is always so chaotic with my family. I look forward to your vlogs at the end of the day. That, honestly, I got so many comments like that, and it just made Vlogmas even more special. I think that's the other thing. Something in my brain disconnects when Vlogmas starts, and I just get so swept up in the excitement and the Christmas magic and everyone's comments about how much the vlogs are meaning to them and how much they're looking forward to them. And yeah, and then my brain reconnects in January and is like, ooh, we need to do better next year. Lisa, this is a really good idea, and I should have thought about this sooner. But yeah, the tree's still up, but all it's got on it are the lights and the angel. All the ornaments are down. I think the tree is going to come down this weekend. I have left my tree up until almost Valentine's Day in the past, but this year I think it's going to be like this weekend. So it might be February 1st. It might be the first weekend, full weekend of February. I might wait until next weekend. We'll see. But and yeah, JC, I do too. I love the traditional Vlogmas of just filming your day. I love that it allows the audience and the creator to get to know each other. It feels like one long FaceTime for the month. That's what I still aim for with my Vlogmas. I feel like Vlogmas has evolved over the years, and I really want it to feel like we're just hanging out in the month of December. I don't want to do anything just for the sake of a Vlogmas vlog. Like, I still want to go shopping. I still want to go out to fun cafes and spend time with my friends and things like that. And I feel like that's the thing I was missing a little bit this past December, because I was so busy writing Ava and Luke's story that I don't feel like I went out and did as much. So I think the plan for next year is to pre-write most of the Patreon story, and I will film some of those writing sessions. So I might decorate like my desk area for Christmas in like October, just to make it look more festive, so that you'll still get to see me writing the Patreon story, but I just won't be doing all of that in December. What do you suggest for writer's block? I have been wanting to do a whole video on this, but the short-ish answer is I don't believe that writer's block exists. Don't hate me. I feel like that's a really unhelpful answer, but I believe that writer's block is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe that writer's block exists, then you're absolutely going to get hit with it. If you can recognize what writer's block actually is, then it's much easier to combat and not even get it in the first place. So ultimately, when we get blocked, 99.9% of the time, it's fear. We're afraid of writing something because we're afraid it's not going to be good enough. So just write anything. Whether it's putting something in brackets and just saying, I didn't know what to write here, so figure it out later. Or you might know what you want the scene, or this applies to nonfiction writing and academic writing as well. You might know what you need to write, you just don't know how. So write it badly. Write the version that you know is not going to be the final version, but it gets something down on paper. Don't put so much stress on yourself to try to figure everything out during that first draft process. And this applies even when I'm working on developmental edit drafts. There might be a pass that I'm doing where I'm like, I know this needs to be fixed, but I don't know how to fix it. I make a comment and I move on and I come back. So writer's block feeds off of your belief in it and your fear of it. And it also feeds off of your fear of failure, it not being perfect, it not being good enough. It feeds off of those sorts of fears as well. So when you acknowledge that you can write something imperfect, and that the feeling of perfection, one, you never ever, I don't know any writer who feels like their final draft is perfect. So one, perfection is an illusion that doesn't actually exist and isn't something to strive for. But two, the attempt to get something as close to perfect as you are capable of in that moment, that does not happen on the first try. That happens over multiple revisions and attempts and tries at doing something. So if you're stuck with writer's block, take a break, step away, go work on something else, write it badly, and then come back and look at it. All of those things I think can really help. I find outlining difficult. It's either bullet points or more like a first draft. I can never find the right formula. Well, number one, bullet points for an outline isn't bad. For me, my outlines, I think I talk about this in the how to write your first novel video. My outlines are basically a zero draft. So I call myself a discovery outliner because I'm writing essentially like a 10 to 20,000 word first draft or zero draft of my book told entirely in narrative summary. So I'm not doing bullet points. I'm just doing chunks of text of like a paragraph of all the things that are going to happen in this scene, and then a paragraph of all the things that happen in this scene. And there's no dialogue, and there's not really a lot of description of like setting and stuff. It's just description and summary of the action. And that's what works for me. So you keep trying different formulas until you find something that works. Jordan, holding a camera is so exhausting. One year I shot 20 weddings and 100 plus other shoots. My left shoulder sat below the socket from overstretching. I ended up in months of PT and still not right. It is something I have to be careful of. You're the president of the Big Kid Brigade. Of course, Christmas is your favorite time. Of course. And I see a lot of you giving good advice about writer's block. So rereading my favorite books, that's a good one. I see Charlie here. Hi, Charlie. When I get stuck, it means 1, I'm feeling vulnerable about what I'm going to write, or 2, there's something not right about the next scenes I'm working on and I need to replot and contemplate. Yeah, that's good. For me, writer's block, I recognize is basically procrastination. That's another thing. Sometimes it's not really writer's block. It's your brain saying, take a break. You need a rest. Desiree, so true. We're terrified to write badly and want it to be perfect instantly. That's the thing. Even if you do manage to get to something somewhat approximating perfect, it's not going to happen instantly. It's going to happen over the course of working on it. I procrastinate in front of the blank page, always due to the fear of not writing my idea well enough. Yeah, so just write it not well and then come back. Hi, Blair. I hope you enjoy the replay. Thanks for popping in. I love seeing you all chat to each other in the chat. That makes me happy. Okay, I think I'm caught up on the chat, more or less. So yeah, some things I wrote down to chat about was the 12K. Like I couldn't believe it. I literally was watching it live when it happened. I had the live count on and I got to watch it roll over from 11,999 to 12,000. So that was exciting. And I just like it definitely, we had that huge growth in November and then throughout December and January, it's kind of slowed back down. But now it's starting to go back up a little bit, which is really nice. And the comments on the recent writing video have just been so lovely. That I feel like, again, it's yes, it's more people. Yes, the channel is growing, but it's growing with the best people ever, which is all of you. I thought about that 12K Q&A. That might have to be the next live stream. I mean, I recognize if anyone thought we were going to do some work, I did say in the thumbnail, we might chat, we might write, we will definitely chat. This might be just a chattier live stream today. I need to take a sip of my water. But yeah, I'm getting distracted again. Is there a video for our outline? Yes, I have done an outlining video. It's titled something like How I Outline in Scrivener or something like that, but you can use any other writing software and still follow the process. And Lilith is here. Yay. Well, thank you, Lenny. I'm glad you're subbed. That makes me very happy. I feel like most years I can kind of predict or like set a goal of where I want this channel to grow to by the end of the year. And like by October, like last year, I was starting the year at almost 5K. And I thought it'd be really cool if in 2025 I could hit 5K and then get to 6K by the end of the year, because I was getting close to 5K by January. And we did that. And then we did so much more. So I have no prediction for this year where we're going to end up by December of this year. So this makes me so happy. Andrew, I wanted to tell you I'm obsessed with the way you set up your Scrivener. It changed mine, and now I love it even more. I used Scrivener for at least 3 or 4 years before I realized you could customize it so much. And that just made me fall in love with it even more as well. Like, the more I use it, the more I love it, because the more I find different things that you can do with it. If anyone's got other questions, let me know, because I don't think we're going to write today. It's Friday. I'm tired. It's been a long week. Thursdays are my long day of teaching. I taught 3 classes yesterday and had office hours, so my brain is just fried. I was doing some book work earlier today. Oh, someone says they love my sweatshirt. Thank you. This is my published author sweatshirt, established 2019. I got this on Etsy. There's a bunch of Etsy sellers that do this kind of shirt. So yeah, love it. I got this as a NaNoWriMo gift to myself a few years ago, back when Nano was a thing and not terribly problematic. But yeah, I love this sweatshirt. I wore it just for today, just because I knew we were going to be doing a live stream today. The question I'm sure a lot of you want to know, you can leave some airplane or British flag emojis to let me know which one of you are also curious about this. Yeah, I have nothing to announce. There's still no announcement. No announcement is happening on this stream. But I am working on it. I am researching and like looking up flights and hotels and costs, and I have money. I have money set aside that I have been diligently saving. And because of all of the support everyone has been giving this channel, my books, my Patreon over the last few months, the success that we had in terms of YouTube, Patreon, and how that then trickled over into book sales. The budget is there, and the budget is fairly healthy, but London hotels are also really, really expensive. I am planning on spending some time with Tamsin and staying with her up in Leeds. So the trip that I am trying to plan will involve some time in London, sometime in Leeds and up north, and we'll be doing a lot of stuff around Leeds. I want to go back to York multiple times. I think we'll be doing stuff around Yorkshire on the weekends, and then during the weekdays while I'm up with her, I'll be able to zip over to York for some of that time, and then come back down south to Oxford and spend some time in Oxford. So yeah, there are plans. There are plans for England in 2026. I am hoping to have something to announce by the end of February. If you don't hear anything by the end of February, it will not be a good sign. So yeah. Pro writing tips. Are you talking about Pro Writing Aid? I no longer use Pro Writing Aid. They have gone a little too far into AI territory, and I no longer felt comfortable using it. I don't think it's necessarily the worst company ever. I think if you're being aware of the different features and staying away from the AI elements, but also I think my biggest tip for Pro Writing Aid, you pay attention to the suggestions it gives you. And what I liked about Pro Writing Aid is it didn't just tell you what was wrong, it did tell you the rule. So pay attention to those rules. Learn grammar while you're using it. Don't just accept all of its suggestions. The more I used it, the more I started realizing that it wasn't always giving me the best advice. So use it as a tool, but not as a replacement for your own diligent copy editing and proofreading. That would be my biggest tip. Water, because I'm a desert girl. What are you drinking? You talked for almost an hour and took no sips. I'm really bad about that. Mostly because on a live stream, I'm afraid of dead air. I do need to be better about drinking. But yeah, it's just water. I always have one of these large tumblers full of water. And I have a whole collection of them with different colors and patterns that I can like change based on the season. So Anna is planning to go to England in 2027. That's exciting. I know there's a few people planning England trips. Do you think you'll visit Bath again when you travel to the UK? I would like to. I really would like to. I was hoping to stay with a friend who lives near there, but our schedules aren't going to work out. She's got some life stuff happening. So we're still going to try to meet up. If it's easier for me to meet her near Bath or in Bath, then I will go back. But when I went with Mom on the last trip, I kind of realized that I've done Bath as a day trip a few times now. And the next time I go to Bath, I'd really like to be able to stay there for at least a few nights. And I just don't know if I can do that on this trip along with London and Oxford. So it's possible that that might be a 2027 thing when I can stay with my friend. Sure. Anna's also planning to see a friend in Leeds. I've never been to Leeds, so I'm really excited. Newcastle hotels are cheaper. I think Newcastle's also up north. I feel like just up north is cheaper in general. So yeah, I was looking at if I didn't have my friend to stay with in Leeds, I was looking at like getting a hotel in York. I was looking at getting a hotel in York anyway, like doing some time in Leeds and then some time just in York and then going back down to Oxford. But now it's looking like I'm going to be staying in Oxford for a little bit longer than I initially planned. And so I need more of my hotel budget for Oxford. But yeah. Do you think you might visit Wales? Not on this trip, I don't think. I mean, who knows? But I'm not really planning on Wales. Wales and Scotland are like I really want to go back to Wales. I've been to Wales a couple times, once as a kid, and then once with my mom. One of our early trips together, we did a day trip to Cardiff because we're both massive Doctor Who fans, and they used to have the Doctor Who experience, and we went to see that, and it was amazing. Highlight of my life. Let me know if there's any other Doctor Who fans in the chat. So I have been to Cardiff, but I've just been to I don't know what it's called, but like the really like famous bit. That's such a bad description, Andrea. But, and I don't have my picture of it anywhere close by. but it's right along like a bay or something, and it's where the Doctor Who Experience used to be. And yeah, we went from the train station to that bit, saw where they filmed scenes from Doctor Who and Torchwood, did the Doctor Who Experience, ate lunch somewhere, and then went back and got on the train. So I want to go back to Cardiff to see like the rest of Cardiff. But I also want to visit other places in Wales. So I don't know if it'll happen on this trip, but I'm hoping next summer to be able, in 2027, to be able to go back again, stay with friends and not have to pay for hotels, and then be able to do more traveling out to other places like Wales and Scotland. Although Tamsin and I have loosely thought about possibly doing an overnight up to Edinburgh on this trip, which would be amazing. So fingers crossed. Would you ever consider doing a series of videos, even if it's on Patreon, talking us from idea to finished draft, even if it's just focusing on one chapter? Yes, this is kind of what I'm hoping to do throughout this year on the channel. So the video I did this week is kind of why this year should be the year that you write your novel, and a few basic steps to get you started. Excuse me. I'm now working on the script for a video next week, or this coming week, probably on Wednesday. That will be how to develop a writing routine as a first-time writer. Some of them are probably going to be slightly out of order because I also really want to film a video on my full self-editing process while I'm like starting that. And then I'll do videos on developmental editing, and then one on like line editing and copy editing and tips for all the different stages of that. But I'm going to try to be going back through all of the different steps. It might be slightly out of order, but then I can put them all in a playlist and kind of put them in order. But that is definitely something I really, really want to do. Please do a meetup when you're here. I mean, I would love that. That might be a little bit hard to plan. I don't know how many people would come. But yeah, I mean, we could maybe just do a day where let's just all meet up in Hyde Park in London or something. We'll see. We can just have a picnic. Okay, see, I really want to go to Switzerland. I'm also hoping, so again, no announcements, just like wild daydreaming for 2027. A friend of mine just moved to Paris, and another friend of mine lives in Vienna. So I'm hoping possibly for next summer, if all I have to do is pay for the flights, maybe staying with friends in a few different places in England, and then visiting my friend in Paris and visiting my friend in Vienna, and being able to just spend more of the summer overseas. I think that would be really nice. So going back to the pro writing aid, same thing with Grammarly. Grammarly, for example, is wrong so many times, changing my tense in text. The thing that was the final like straw that broke my back, and my criticism of pro writing aid, like I say this as a paying customer, I bought a lifetime license. I did an annual subscription for the first year. I liked it well enough that then I think I used a discount code through Kindlepreneur, like a Black Friday deal or something they had, and I bought the lifetime license. I paid like $260 for it. For pro writing aid, and then used it for a few more novels. And the more I used it, the more I started to realize that there were issues with it. And the thing that finally just broke me was I was doing the final proofread of Forever Love London, which is book 4 in the Across the Pond series. And I got to a section, like a later chapter, and I can't remember the exact sentence, but it was supposed to be something like the laughter filled the room. And I had misspelled the word laughter. I left off the T. And so it was the laugher filled the room. And laugher is a real word, but it's not the correct word, and certainly not in the context I was using it. And the fact that Pro Writing Aid missed that, like, if it's this super powered, AI powered, editing software, like that seemed like something it should catch, that this sentence doesn't make sense, that this isn't the right word that you're trying to use. And when I went into Vellum, because I was working in Vellum by this point, I went into Vellum and I searched Vellum for the word laugher, found it 2 other times. So if I hadn't caught that third instance later in the book and then thought to go check it, I would have missed all of them. So yeah, these programs are great. So they can be helpful, but as with anything AI, feel like I've been talking about AI so much the last few weeks with teaching. And like I attended a discussion about AI for work on Wednesday. So I'm a bit burned out on talking about AI. But as with everything with AI, you have to make sure that you are using it purely as a tool and not as a replacement. And I think what programs like Grammarly and Pro Writing Aid and even spell check and like Google Docs and stuff, they lure people into a false sense of security that they are catching all of these errors and you don't need to worry about copy editing or proofreading or understanding basic grammar. You do. You still need to have a solid understanding of grammar. And like, this is something I struggle with. I always joke, I'm a rhetorician, not a grammarician. My degree is in rhetoric, writing, and literacies, not in grammar. Just because I have an English PhD doesn't mean I'm a grammar expert. So yeah, I just use editing software like that with caution. Viv's here. Everyone needs to go check out Viv's channel if you want good romance, particularly spicy romance recommendations. You want to go check out Viv, who can't sleep, even though she really should. But I remembered you have a live, so I'm here to say hi. Hi, Viv. Yeah, you need to come back to England when I'm there, because I want to meet you too. I'm still jealous that Kaylin got to meet you. So maybe search Airbnb options, especially any that come with comments about great for writers. That's something I'm actively looking into, particularly for Oxford. There's also University Rooms, which lets you stay in college at the Oxford colleges, so like in their residence halls. So I'm looking at that, and I'm also looking at a friend recommended a program similar to Airbnb called Sabbatical Homes or something like that. So it's supposedly all academics who have who are like on sabbatical or on summer break, and so they're not in their homes and they rent it out as like an Airbnb type situation, a vacation rental. So yeah, the Doctor Who experience is closed. It's really sad. I'm glad I got to see it. My parents went a couple years later because I got my dad into it as well. So they've been able to see it, but yeah, it's closed now. So I can't, I wouldn't be able to go again. Hypothetical question. If a UK writing job came up in academics, would you pack up and leave in a heartbeat? Y'all, if I could get any job that would support financially me living in the UK, I just about any, okay, I should be careful how I say that. I probably wouldn't take an AI job. I don't think I'd want to work for an AI company. But no, I'm looking, like I'm always looking. I would move to England in a heartbeat. I'd move anywhere in the UK in a heartbeat. I'd move to Europe in a heartbeat. Like if I wish I could still qualify for German citizenship. I thought about looking up. I don't think it does, but I'm like, does Norway offer any sort of like ancestry visa or something like that? I just want to move. Okay. Cardiff Bay. That's what I was thinking of. I wasn't sure if that was correct or not, but yes, Cardiff Bay is what I was thinking of. But yeah, I would move to England in a heartbeat. So I want to move somewhere cold. I want to move somewhere that isn't really hot. And the thing is I do have a really good job here. Like the only thing I don't really like about my life right now, and I love my life, so I'm joking here, but like if I could just take my life, my job, everything as it is, and just move it to England or Scotland or Wales, I'd be happy any of there. If I could move it within like a 4-hour train ride of London. Well, the Highlands of Scotland would be more like a 6 to 8 hour train ride, but like, yeah, I would move in a heartbeat. But it's the struggle is finding a job that would sponsor a visa, or that would endorse me in the UK for a global talent visa. So those would kind of be my two options. Because yes, I have looked it up. So I would either need a skilled worker visa or I would need someone to endorse a global talent visa. And that's really hard. And it feels like it's getting harder by the year. Every year gets harder and harder. So one, I would need a job that would sponsor a visa, but two, that job would need to be equal or better than my current job. And my current job is pretty good. There are a lot of things I really, really love about my job. So moving is always in the background, but it's something that it's not just as easy as just moving. There's a lot of things I have to think about. Viv says, "Oh my goodness, go to Paris." I'll either come to or give you the biggest list of what to do. Okay, good to know. I've been to Paris once just for the day as a day trip from London. The very first time I visited London as an adult, my friend who I was staying with was like, Paris is only 2 hours away on the Eurostar. Like, do you want to go to Paris? It's like, I didn't know Paris was an option, but yeah, let's go to Paris. So we did, but it was raining because it was January. It was raining the whole day, off and on, and it was really wet because of that, like puddles everywhere. And the winter boots that I'd bought specifically for this trip with like waterproofing in mind because I thought it was going to be raining so much in England, which ironically, London, it was barely wet and raining at all. Paris, it was super wet, puddles everywhere. And yeah, that was when I realized that the winter boots I bought, only one of them was waterproof. So I walked around Paris all day with a cold, wet foot. It was miserable. Paris was beautiful. I was slightly dying inside. So this is a good point. AI tools are basically a guessing machine. Exactly. It's all, the statistical guess of what the most likely answer or the most likely order of words would be. So Susan, so happy to catch you live. Longtime watcher, but I don't think I've ever commented. Well, hi and welcome. I'm glad you caught me live too. Obviously, as someone who must use AI tools at work, I have to be strict with myself when I'm writing because it's easy to become dependent on AI and doubt your own writing skills. This is exactly what I am talking to my students about. I don't let them use AI in class, generative AI in class. So I don't let them use any of the current LLMs that are out there. I know they're using it in their other classes. I tell them that I know they're going to have to use it again at some point in the future. Like, I know you're using it in your other classes. I know, especially since I'm teaching business writing, that you're going to go into jobs where you're required to use it. But I'm trying to teach you how to be a competent writer on your own so that you can use it as a tool and not as a replacement. And yeah, AI. Viv, let's all meet in Paris. Yes, let's all meet in, long-term dream for this channel. I would love to do like writing retreats where we just meet up somewhere and part of the time together is like touring and visiting bookshops and things like that. And then the other part of the time is writing. one day. As this channel grows, that's one of the long-term goals. Strunk and White's Elements of Style is a go-to reference for me. Yes. Also, many editors may not catch an important grammatical error. Microsoft Word's function is truly outstanding. Yeah, some of them work really well, some of them not so much. And so you have to understand grammar yourself, so that you can catch when it's giving you bad advice, or when it comes down to a judgment call, you're able to kind of make that judgment call. The Writing Wolf. I've enjoyed watching your videos and other authors on YouTube. I've thought about starting my own channel. Any thoughts on figuring out if it's a good fit for me? Just start. Just start. You can start off by filming stuff and not putting it up. Just like see how it feels to document your day, even if you never share those videos. I think the hardest part about YouTube is seeing how much time it actually takes to film and edit everything. Everyone's filming style is different. Everyone's editing style is different. There are so many resources to help you learn how to edit, learn how to create a channel, learn how to come up with content strategy and things like that. But at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy actually filming videos and documenting your life or talking about different topics, like whether you're doing vlogs or more sit down chatty videos, if you don't actually enjoy that, then you're never going to stick with it. So I think starting out, just start filming yourself talking to the camera or going about your life. Again, whether you're thinking of sitting down and just talking to the camera about a topic or vlogging, test out different things, see what feels good, and see if it's something that you think you would actually want to put on the internet. But when it comes to uploading it, don't get hung up in, oh my gosh, everyone's going to watch me. Because for starters, no, a lot of people aren't going to watch you for a long time. You're going to start off with having like 1 or 2 views per video, and then you're going to go up to like 10 views per video, and that's going to feel amazing. It's going to feel like so many people are watching your videos, and it gradually increases. You have to start somewhere. But yeah, just start. My biggest regret, and I'm coming up on 10 years on YouTube, and my biggest regret this entire time has been that I didn't start sooner. So just start. Desiree, Norway. Yes, I wish. Take me away. I'm slowly trying to learn Norwegian on an app that I won't name because it's been taken over by AI, but I've got a family plan with my whole family, so like I use it. It's not really teaching me very well, but I'm learning a bit. Norwegian is a very interesting language, but I would need a much better way of learning if I wanted to properly learn it. Scarves and boots and coats and cardigans. Yes, I miss them too. Honestly, I started cleaning out my coat closet because since I don't really wear coats, it's just like a closet of doom. And I started cleaning out the bottom of it because I wanted a place to store all my growing collection of Lego boxes, because I keep the boxes, and so I needed somewhere to put them. Y'all, I have more hats, scarves, gloves, cold weather gear in general than anyone who lives in southern Arizona has a right to own. But I can't stop myself. Alfie, Highlands of Scotland, are you hoping for an Outlander experience? Not so much Outlander. I don't really want to be transported back in time to that particular time, especially. I wouldn't mind meeting someone with a very lovely Scottish accent. No, I've never read the Outlander books. I've watched 5 of the seasons of the TV series. No, I just mostly want to go to Scotland and go to the Highlands. I've been to Scotland, but only as far north as St. Andrews, which is I don't think that far north. And that was years ago when I was a kid. We were doing a family trip. My dad, the only reason we even made it as far as St. Andrews was because my dad had to see the old golf course, because my dad's a massive golfer. So that was the only reason we even went up as far as St. Andrews. But I'm part Scottish, so part of it's also like I know one of my ancestors is from Aberdeenshire, from a small town village, I think, called Crathie. I think it's spelled Crathie. And so like I just really want to go and see where he was born and where he died, because he's interesting. He moved from Scotland to Canada and had a bunch of kids, and then he moved back to Scotland, but his kids stayed in Canada, and then one of his sons moved from Canada down to Wisconsin. Family legend has it that he won some Wisconsin farmland in a card game up in Canada. That's how he moved down to Wisconsin, and that's how my Gordon family, the Gordon line of my family, got our farmland. What was our farmland? We know the family no longer owns the farm, but my dad remembers visiting the farm. It was my great-great-grandfather, Archie Lee Gordon, was the last Gordon to work on and run the farm. And when he got older, he had to sell it. So I don't even think the farm is still there. We went to visit when my great-grandmother was still alive, and we drove out to the farm, and like it had this beautiful farmhouse that like she grew up in. But apparently I think it's someone's bought the land and everything has been torn down, which is just, I used to dream if I ever like won the lottery, I would just go to Wisconsin, whoever owned it, I would just make an offer. But yeah, that's no longer possible. But I'd really love to see, it's also where I want to go to Norway, because I want to see where my ancestors are from. Because I know the regions and the towns in Norway where my ancestors were born and lived. But yeah, I want to go to Scotland, not so much for an Outlander experience, but just because I want to see it. I want to reconnect with that part of my heritage. And if any of that story that I've just told about the Wisconsin farmland and stuff is interesting, read the Independent Heart series, because that whole part of my family is a huge inspiration for a few of the books in that series. As a writer, are you just a couple tabs open, girly, or do you have 10 plus? I have multiple windows with multiple tabs open. So I will have a window per project. Like I've got an Across the Pond window, and I had a Ava and Luke window, and then multiple tabs in each of those windows for those projects. And yeah, I'm really bad at closing out tabs, which is probably why my brain feels like it's going to explode most of the days. Avi, is the moon out yet? It's getting darker here, but it looks so bright. Oh, it's super bright still. It is 3:28, almost 3:30. And yeah, it's not a single cloud in the sky. Super bright, clear, sunny day. Currently up to 76 degrees Fahrenheit here. So the sun won't set for another couple hours still. But Hannah, I have loved your channel since the end of November and have gone through a rough time, and I love that you love the UK. I love that so many people from the UK, but other Americans and other people from other countries who also love the UK. I love that there's like so much international love. Like it's not just the UK. I do love so many other countries, and I love that we're such an international group. So She says, I'm from the UK and your content is inspo for sure. Aw, thank you. Yeah, the book towers. I had a YouTube channel for just over a year and it is a huge commitment. And when I first started publishing, I remember I belonged to some like writing groups and like indie author groups on Facebook and stuff. And every now and then someone would pop in with like I feel like I should start a YouTube channel to market my books. And, do you have any advice? And it was always like, don't do YouTube unless you love YouTube and you love making videos. If you're only getting into this to market your books and earn AdSense revenue from your videos and all of the, it's going to take you so long. And so if you don't love, like I would say the last few months on this channel have been the first few months that I have noticed views on YouTube actually converting to book sales. And I've been doing YouTube for almost 10 years and publishing for over 6 years now. Like it is a long-term commitment. And I think also your audience can tell when you are only doing it for the clicks and the views and the AdSense and the buy my product and buy my service and all these things that I'm trying to sell you. Like your audience notices that. They pick up on that and they're not going to stay interested in that. So you have to do it because you love them. You love making videos. I see a lot of people talking about AI in the comments. I see you. I hear you. I'm so tired of AI. Yeah, I've thought about, I do need to go through and donate some of the older scarves and stuff that aren't that special and don't have sentimental attachment and don't fit and things like that, because there's a lot that I just don't need and I've got more than enough. I need to look up some of the homeless shelters and things in town because it obviously doesn't get that cold here in Phoenix, but for anyone who is like sleeping rough, or who is out very early in the morning or like overnight, it does get cold and they do need things like that. So, ooh, this sounds like a good channel for me to check out. Thanks, Hannah. Oh, okay, Kelly. I'm in Aberdeenshire, about 45 minutes away from Crazy. There's an amazing. Oh, cool. Okay, Kelly, we're gonna have to chat. Because I want to hear more. So I really want. Like, I don't think I'll be able to visit up there on this trip this year. But it's something I would really love to do next summer if I'm staying with Tamsin for some time in Leeds, to like take a few days and go up to Aberdeen and like check out a bunch of different places around there. I think I would want to, before I go to visit Crathy for sure, I want to do more genealogy. I feel like these lives are going to be just a lot of watch Andrea fumble over her words. I want to do more research on the family and like chat with my US family who's doing a lot of this research to try to like find out, like, is there a church I need to visit? Is there a graveyard I can visit? And possibly reach out to some people in Scotland to help me with that. Because I'd love to be able to like actually see things connected to my family. All right, I actually live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hey, we've got some Wisconsinites here. My mom grew up in Wisconsin. And the town that the Independent Heart series is set in is a town named Olsenburg, and it's just a fictional town. I made it up. But it's based on or inspired by the town of Mineral Point, Wisconsin, which is not far from Madison. So I mentioned Madison a bunch of times in the book. And that's where the farm was. The farm was outside of Mineral Point in a, I don't even know what they call it. It's not like an actual town. It's like an incorporated area or something like that called Waldwick. And that's where the farm was, but Mineral Point was the nearest town to where the farm was. So yeah, my family is from that southern part of Wisconsin. Mom southeast in Milwaukee and dad southwest in Mineral Point. So because the family, you know, that had that one ancestor come down from Canada, had this farm, and the family, like we've got family who've stayed in that area ever since. So do you plan to do live writing sprints in the future? Yes. I know this has turned into such a chatty chat. We will do actual writing sprints at some point in the future, and I will make sure that we stay on task. Next week, I start full on developmental editing. So I think I want to be doing at least one writing editing sprint live stream each week. I might do some very last minute ones, more than that, but I need y'all to help me stay on track because I'm just giving you all kinds of reveal. Like, again, no announcements, but I feel like I've shared way more about my England plans. But like, I'm just saying, Across the Pond 5 is set in London, and it's the 5th Across the Pond book, and it's the 10th book I'm publishing. So like, how cool would it be to do a book launch in London? It'd be really cool, but I got to finish it first. So yes, we will be doing actual productive live writing sprints in the future, just probably not today. Laura has arrived. Hello, I thought I was clicking on the last live stream as a playback, and I'm pleasantly surprised to see you're alive. We're live. Hello. Hannah, have you still got the tree up? Yes, I do. The tree is still up. All the ornaments have been packed away. And like I have the garland here with these ornaments still need to be taken down. And then the tree has the lights on and the angel on, but that's it. And I haven't touched the fireplace mantle. But I think this weekend, maybe next weekend. I know it needs to come down. I know the tree needs to come down. I'm just not quite ready to take it down. I'm getting close, but I'm not quite there. Done all my work commitments for the day. So cheers to the weekend. TGIF. JC, I'm so glad you can just enjoy your weekend now. Oh, we've got a Green Bay person. Like, I don't follow football, but I do joke. My dad jokes that the Packers are the ancestral team. I feel like now that we live in Phoenix, the family mostly cheers on the Phoenix Cardinals, but like I don't really care about that. But I always joke that being a Packers fan is genetically encoded into my DNA. So if the Packers are playing, I do have to cheer for them. It's like a contractual obligation just from being born into the family I was born into. Yes, I have been to Wales. We were talking about that earlier. I've been to Cardiff, and I've been, as a kid, Lake Bala, B-A-L-A. That was one of the places we visited on our massive Severson family road trip from Germany. We were coming from Aschaffenburg, so from Aschaffenburg, Germany, to Boulogne, France, by way of the field of Waterloo, because my dad had to see where the Battle of Waterloo was fought. So we stopped in Waterloo, which I want to say is in Belgium. Oh, don't quote me on that. Someone's going to correct me in the comments. I think it's in Belgium, but we stopped in Waterloo and then drove to France and stayed the night in Boulogne, and then took the ferry the next day because we were in our Volkswagen van which we packed to the gilt. We had everything. We had a tent. We weren't planning on camping. We had a tent just in case. My dad brought his golf clubs. We had some electric fans because it was summer and we heard it might be a heat wave. And then we took the ferry from Boulogne to Dover, drove from Dover to Reading, stayed at a B&B in Reading, took the train into London a few days, and then we drove from Reading up through northern England into Scotland, up to St. Andrews and Perth, I think we did in Scotland. And then we looped back down through Wales and stopped in a few places in Wales, and then drove back out Dover ferry back to France and back to Germany. It was an epic trip. It was probably one of my favorite trips that my family did the whole time we lived in Germany. It was absolutely amazing. And I just, like, even as a young kid, there was something in my brain that was just like England, Scotland, Wales, Great Britain, amazing place, have to go back. And so fast forward many years, because I was 9 when we did that. So fast forward 20 years, because I was 29, almost 30. A friend of mine had moved to London. Her husband, her fiance at the time, and then husband had got a job in London. They got married. She followed and moved over there as well. And one of our other good friends had managed to go visit, but she knew that I was struggling financially because semi-employed, finished my first master's degree, did not have money to travel. And so she offered as a Christmas gift the year before to give me her airline miles so that all I would have to pay for was like taxes and fees, a few $100s. So my first trip to London cost me a few $100s, plus money I spent there, like shopping and stuff. But yeah, it was just to be back there and to see things that I hadn't seen in like 20 years. It was just amazing. But that whole trip as a kid was just incredible. And it was kind of good timing because it was 1990. It was the summer of 1990. And that winter, the Gulf War, the first Gulf War kind of started. And so my dad was deployed right after Christmas. And so that was kind of the last big family trip we had before the last big one. We went to Berlin in October, I think, of 1990 for a few days. But yeah, anyway, that's a tangent. Wisconsin and Alaska are the only 2 U.S. states I haven't visited. Cheese and mozzie capitals of the world. Wisconsin cheese, like, I know that European cheese, and I fully admit European cheese is like the best cheese. Like a good English cheddar, nothing beats a good English cheddar. France always obviously has a lot of amazing cheese, but when it comes to American cheese, nobody in the US does cheese better than Wisconsin. Carrie, I don't care about sports. My family are all about the Packers. There's just something about when you're from a Wisconsin family, it's all going to be about the Packers. Isn't the Green Bay Packers the only football team not actually owned by an individual, but by a region or I don't know, possibly. Hannah, your dad sounds like a great character for a book. My dad's the bestest. I love him. He's not really in the vlogs. Sometimes he like wanders through in the background. But I love my dad. He tells the best stories. Okay, as I got older, I got less involved and less interested in team sports and more interested in individual ones. The exception would be pro road cycling. I love pro road cycling. I don't have the time to like follow all the races, but every summer I watch the Tour de France. That is the one I'm obsessed with. Have you ever read a movie/book set in Wisconsin, Germany, or London where you were like, wrong? Have they ever been there? Don't name it, LOL. Yes. Yes. Not so much Wisconsin or Germany, but London. So many people write books in London, and I can always tell the ones who either have never been there or maybe they just got to go for a couple days, but then clearly didn't even like do the research to figure it out. Like I've been multiple times and I still always have a Google Maps window tab open on my computer of London. As I'm writing scenes, I will move the map over to whatever area I'm writing the scene in, just so that if I find that I do want to name a building or a street or something like that, I can get it right, because I don't remember everything off the top of my head. But yeah, I do. And then there are other times, there are some movies, I won't name which one, but I was watching something on Netflix the other day that's a period thing. Like it's set in a different time period. I won't say which because that'll narrow down which thing I'm talking about. But it was supposed to be set in London. And it was so obviously Bath. And it was just like that. Like, I get it. It's really hard to film on location in London because London is so modern, and also it's really hard to shut down entire streets in London or something. But it's like there really wasn't some square in London that you couldn't take over for a couple days to film this. Like Bath, really? And like if you're not going to film it in London, Bath? Like it was just, there was this moment of like, oh, I've been there. And that's not London. Anyway, it's funny. It's the kind of thing where like most people won't notice, but I do. Okay, answer my own question. The Green Bay Packers are the only publicly owned nonprofit franchise in the NFL, owned by over 538,000 stakeholders rather than a single individual or private group. Yet another reason to like the Green Bay Packers. It's what I hate about Google. It's taken all the fun out of conversations. Our cheese curds are the best. I'm a D&D nerd, so sports just wasn't for me. Yeah, I wasn't a D&D nerd. A lot of my friends were. I never got into it. But because I know that if I ever did, that would have completely overtaken my life. See, my family loves cheese curds. I'm the only one who doesn't. Okay, bedtime for those in the UK. Totally understand. If anyone has to pop off, I should probably pop off soon. Because it's getting later in the afternoon for me. I'll give it at least another 15 minutes. I put the pro road cycling on in the background for writing, like others might for music. Yeah, that's a good idea. You've got great scenery for the different tours and races. The commentary for most of the race is not that energetic, so it's just like good background noise unless someone crashes or something. And then at the very end, the final sprint, it's not Bridgerton. It wasn't Bridgerton. It was something else. Peter. Hi, Peter. I had Google Maps open just tonight while writing. Absolutely necessary for accuracy. Like, if you are going to write a book set in another place that you are less familiar with, or even that you are super familiar with, but you haven't been to recently, Google Maps is your friend, or Google Earth or some other map app. But like, all of this information is online now. And like one thing I have to do all the time is I will look up places because I'll want to write it in a certain location. I'll want to reference a business or a shop or something. And I have to look, does that shop still exist? Is it still in that area? Because things open and close all the time. And the London of 2010 is not what London 2026 is. So there's a lot of things probably in the First Across the Pond book that aren't quite accurate anymore. They were in 2010 and 2012, but not so much now. So yeah, but it is absolutely necessary, because someone will call you out on it. Someone will notice that like you didn't get something right. One thing I'm having to do with Across the Pond 5 is there's a scene set in the Museum of London, because I love the Museum of London. But the Museum of London has like, they've closed their old location and they're building a new location, and the new location isn't open yet. So like I've had to look on their website and I've had to keep some of the details kind of vague. I'm hoping, I need to see when it opens. It's sometime this year, and I need to see when it opens and see if they've added like more information, or if I can find someone like do a YouTube tour of the newly reopened Museum of London, because obviously I'm hoping to be there by the time the book comes out. So, but in my head, as I'm writing that scene, I'm picturing the old Museum of London in the Barbican, not the new one that's going to be over in Smithfield Market. I'm really hoping that that is at least open by the time I visit, so that I can go see it. What if that book's set in the way future? Would it matter if things are different? No, if it's set in like a future version of London or Paris or New York or whatever, then no, I don't think it matters as much. And if it's set in a historical version as well, I think there's a little, you still want things to be accurate, but I feel like when it's a historical version, there's a few more things you can have creative license on. But when it's contemporary, and when it's somewhere really popular that people are visiting, it's one of the reasons why the Independent Heart series, why I turned it into a fictional town. So it's heavily influenced and inspired by a real town in Wisconsin called Mineral Point. But I didn't want anyone to be like, well, Mineral Point doesn't have a bookshop like Kimbrell's, and it doesn't have a candle store like Elisa's Candle Company. I wanted to be able to put in a ton of different fictional buildings and shops and people, and not have to worry about it fitting with the real town. So sometimes when you're writing in a contemporary setting, you do want to make sure that either you're doing the research to make sure it's accurate, or you are kind of making up a fictional version of a place. So like making up a small town. Like I don't ever reference Mineral Point in like as a real town in Independent Hearts. I probably should have, but I mentioned other real towns. So like I mentioned that it's near Madison and Platteville, and I think I've mentioned Dodgeville. So I talk about the real towns that are around Mineral Point, the real town. So anyone who's familiar with Wisconsin geography would kind of be able to place the fictional town of Olsenburg. I love how some of you are saying you're staying up late because you saw I was live. You can finish watching the replay. Peter, I just finished More Than Fate and loved it. Oh, thank you. I'll tell Tamsin, especially Isla. I love Isla. I love Isla and Henry. I love their story. I feel like I need to do more with them, like maybe a Patreon story. Because I miss Isla and Henry so much. And I should honestly make Isla be like a real character that I write into a future Across the Pond book, because they all exist in the same world. But yeah, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. V.E. Schwab did Magical Londons. Yes, The Shades of Magic. I think it's now a whole series. It started with a trilogy, but I think there's a fourth book now. I haven't read the fourth one. But Shades of Magic by V.E. Schwab, highly recommend. I love how it's almost midday for Forward Looking, who I think is in Australia. And Sarka is like, it's almost midnight in the Czech Republic. And it's not quite 4 p.m. in Phoenix. Again, I'm going to be playing around with times that we do these. We'll be doing them at different times. So there will be some live streams that are a bit earlier, some that are a bit later. So I don't ever expect to be able to have everyone on one live stream at the same time. So I'll try to play around with different timings so that we can hit a few different time zones, so that everyone has the chance to join at least one or two live streams per month. So I have noticed our numbers are dwindling. I think we got up to like 78 at one point. Now we're hovering around the low 40s, which is really exciting. I wasn't sure how many people were going to come at this time on a Friday with me live streaming by myself. But Avi says it's 6:54 and the moon is out. It's almost 5 p.m. I'm self-employed, so I'm usually good at any time. I feel like there's a lot of people who are self-employed, they're students, or they're retired, or their schedules are flexible for some in some way. Almost 6 p.m. in Ohio, and the sun is setting fast. It's also stupid cold, oscillating between 10 above and 10 below all week. 11 p.m. here. I'll be writing until 2 a.m. I like the quiet. Yeah. I wish I could stay up late and write. I'm trying to get back into my 5 a.m. habit because the sun is currently coming up just a little bit before 7:30 in the morning now here in Phoenix. So if I can wake up at 5, I still would have a couple hours of darkness. And I think as I'm now getting into developmental edits, it would be really nice to have like an early AM in the dark editing sprint. Might try to do some like 5 a.m. live streams just to, maybe that would motivate me to actually wake up at 5 a.m. if I know I've got a live stream starting at 6. So yeah. Anyone have any fun plans for the weekend as we wrap up this live stream? I'm going to be editing, vlog editing and book editing probably, and hoping to go for a hike. I'm going to meet my friend at a bookshop tomorrow. So taking bets now on how many books I manage to avoid buying. Avi was actually in a meeting for the first hour. I work remotely. I wasn't going to miss your first chatty live stream. It does, right? I mean, it's what gets my butt in the chair, LOL, live streaming. I think this could be a really good way of like getting myself to be a little bit more productive. There's a local Milwaukee writers group that meets on the weekends. That's when I do most of my writing. That's great. I really would like to try to, I'm sure there's some local writing groups here in Phoenix. I'd really love to try to find some because there's something about writing with people, like in a live stream environment, or like some of my friends and I, we meet on Zoom and write together, and that's great. But like writing in person is also really, really cool. Question. How are your students this term? Anyone get a bad grade last term? You seem an amazing teacher. Oh, thank you. My students this term all seem amazing. I don't know. There were some students last semester who didn't finish. They just life happens and other stuff comes up and they weren't able to finish. But of the students who finished, all of them did really, really well. So it's almost 11 p.m. here. I should go to sleep, but I'm too invested in this live stream. I'm going to be working with the Story Engine deck tomorrow. Ooh, the Story Engine. I'm going to write that down and look that up because that sounds interesting. Peter, garden work and more writing this weekend, hoping to get 2,000 to 3,000 words done. Good luck. I'm sure you will get there. Yes, easing my way into February, Andrea's birthday month. I'm so excited for my birthday. I've already got plans with some of my girlfriends to go back to Society Swan. and have lunch there, and I can't wait. I'm like, do I do the fish and chips again, or do I do the amazing chicken pasta thing? Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to decide. I need to go twice. Proposal writing, if I can stop procrastinating, driving for some kayakers, dropping them off in the woods for a river. Ooh, that sounds cool. I wish I lived near, I do live near a river. It just doesn't have water in it. That's the joy of living in a desert. I have a writing group and we meet every day at 10:30 or 8:30 over Zoom. Weekend I write with a friend. That's really cool. We can plan, start drafting a new pen name novella and edit a podcast episode. I feel like these are my podcast. Like I would love to do a podcast. I do not have time to edit something else. So I do want to do, in addition to writing sprint, like productive live streams, I do want to do some live streams with different guests. Desiree, I'll be coming for you, to like just talk about like writing topics for like an hour semi interview, semi just chat. This weekend watching Grimm and yeah, I saw a comment about this earlier. I wasn't putting it together. Grimm and Cecilia. Yes, I'm 2 videos behind on Cecilia. So I've got 2 Svalbard vlogs I need to catch up on before the new one on Sunday. And Kaylin Grace Apple, my bestie, one of my besties. Yes, catching up on her videos too. Highly recommend both Cecilia Blumdahl and Kaylin Grace Apple if you're looking for new YouTubers. What do you feel about pen names? Good idea or bad? Overall, I think they have their place. I think pen names. What's tricky about pen names is you still need to be able to market them. So for me, I know that a pen name wasn't going to work because the thought of starting a whole new social media presence under the pen name, when I already had a social media presence and a YouTube channel, because like, my channel was much smaller at the time that I started, but I still had like 1,500 subscribers. So I didn't want to lose out on that potential audience. And so, for me, a pen name wasn't going to work. If I was starting completely from scratch and I didn't have an existing audience online, I probably would use a pen name, just because as the thing that I'm constantly grappling with, is as an online content creator, is I am so public, and that can get scary as a woman in particular on the internet. Parasocial relationships, stalking, harassing, like these are things that I've never had to deal with, but they're things I know other people have had to deal with, and so it's always kind of there in the back of my mind. And I'm so grateful that as this channel is growing, that one, even though like last year it felt like it was growing really, really fast, it still is growing slowly. Going from 5,000 to 10,000 in about a month, that is fast growth, but it's not the same as going from 5,000 to 50,000 in 1 month. I don't think my brain could handle that. So I think that would be like too much. So I like that it's growing slowly enough that it's still bringing in the right people and good people. But pen names, I think if I was starting from scratch, I probably would use one just to protect my legal identity a little bit, to have like a pen name identity and then my legal identity. I kind of sometimes wish that my legal identity was a little bit more anonymous online. But the online landscape has changed so much that, there's things that I wish I knew several years ago when I started, but it's just changed so much in that short amount of time. So Carrie is saying Natalia Lee has good advice on starting from scratch with her pen name. Yeah, there's a lot of people who've done some good videos on pen names. But yeah, these days a pen name almost not worth it unless you also hide your face. Facial recognition, yeah, and reverse image searches, you literally can't show anything, it feels like, of your real life if you're trying to stay anonymous online, because so many details, like even if you're not showing your face, if you're showing other things, it can still give away so much about your identity. So yeah, with facial recognition software and a dedicated scary person, I mean, this is the thing that I have to remind myself, like, I try to guard as much about private legal identity type stuff as possible. But these days, if a scary person is dedicated enough, they're going to figure it out. So I could literally drive myself mad and like have full on panic attacks over this if I let myself. But yeah, you do have to be very careful. So pen names can be great, but you still have to be protecting all of that information. I think I'm going to start wrapping things up. How do you decide what videos to make? I have so many ideas in my brain and no clue what to focus on and make into videos. How do you decide? It's kind of whatever I feel like making at the moment. So, because videos take time, so it's like, what do I feel like investing? So yeah, I don't really have any good advice on this. It's truly whatever I feel like doing. You also add, it's hard to mask your identity and own a business. Your data is registered with the state and state records are public. Yeah. Also, copyright registry. I was told, like, when you register for copyright, which I'm a bad author, I've still not done that. But the recommendation was to like use a PO box as your address on your copyright registration, because that's also public. And I know it's why I got my PO box in the first place, was for my email, my email service. I use MailerLite, but MailerLite, MailChimp, ConvertKit, Flowdesk, all of them, you have to have a legal physical address. And if you are like me and you don't have an office, you only have your personal residential address. I was not going to do that, so I got a PO box. Desiree is saying that for me, a pen name is for market purposes. The genre I publish in is very niche and profits from having its own identity that serves that market. Yeah, I think that's the other thing with pen names. There's kind of two main reasons people do it. Either one, to protect their legal identity, and or it can also be a both situation, but and or for like genre and marketing purposes. If you have already started publishing in one genre, and then you start publishing in another genre, or if you, I know there's a few authors who write steamy and spicy and explicit romance, but they work in an industry where that might not be so good. And so they use a pen name so that their day job identity doesn't get confused with their writing identity. So there's a number of different reasons for having pen names. I do go back and forth sometimes about potentially when I ever publish my fantasy series, to do that under a pen name, just so that those are two different identities. I go back and forth. Part of me is like, I don't know that it would matter that much. And I don't know that it would be worth the hassle. And I probably wouldn't create like a separate social media account for that. But at least then if someone's searching for the book online, they're not getting a bunch of romance in their also bots kind of a thing. Yeah, teachers have to be really careful, as an example. I think teachers, but also I could see lawyers, certain medical fields probably. There's a few different industries where you need to be careful about what you're writing. and also adding elementary teachers, not professors as much. Yeah, not professors as much. I would probably, if I had wanted to do spicier romance, even as a university level faculty member, I probably would have done a pen name. Being a teacher is one of the reasons why I write closed door. Is because even though my students are all adults, it would still be really awkward. Really awkward. So I'm losing the thing in the chat. Yeah. You are the only person in the world with your name. That's another reason. There are people who, like, their name is just so unique that they know they have to use a pen name, because otherwise it would give away too much. I mean, Severson is not very common, certainly in the US. I think it's a little bit more common in the northern Midwest, where there's so many Norwegian Americans or Americans of Norwegian descent. But I don't know how common it is even in Norway. I mean, it could be the equivalent of Smith in Norway for all I know. But I feel like I have only ever once met one other Severson who wasn't related to me. So I laugh because people swear I use a pen name, but I don't. Some people just have the perfect name. So, and then also Barbara is saying there's another person with my name who's a published author. Sometimes you have to go with a pen name because someone's already publishing under your name. So yeah, in that case, a pen name. I think if there had already been someone publishing under Andrea Severson, I would have chosen another family name to use. So Avi's saying, I write fantasy, so I'm going to use my first and middle name initials since that's more prevalent in that genre. Yeah. Okay, y'all. It's after 4 o'clock for me, and I know it's getting really late for some of you. I'm still building up my live stream stamina, so 2 hours and 11 minutes. I think we did 2 hours and 16 before, so I think we'll wrap it up here, if that's okay. But I will definitely try to do another live very soon. And forward looking is adding that actors have the same problem. Yeah, with actors, it's really it can really be an issue if there is already an actor registered with the union, like with Screen Actors Guild or Actors Equity, with your same name. You can't have two actors in the union with the same name, so they will make you choose a different name. So yeah, it's not just authors that have to deal with it. But thank you all. Thank you all for joining. This was so much fun. If anyone watching live or on the replay is new here, we'll be doing more of these. Coffee. Your introversion window is closing. Yeah, it is. The introvert in me is like, it's Friday evening almost. I'm ready to just kind of, I am vlogging today, so I still have to vlog. I have to finish up. I might just make it a 2-day vlog because I don't know that I feel like talking to the camera. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Links to all my things are in the description box. If you want to join me over on Patreon, I still haven't sent out a newsletter for 2026, but the newsletters will resume. So that link is in the description box as well. There will be a new vlog. The vlog I'm filming today, possibly extending into tomorrow, that will go up on Monday. And then there'll be a how to develop a writing routine video going up on Wednesday. So yeah, thank you all for watching. And here's where I get really awkward, where we need to just end the stream. So thank you everyone for watching. I've had so much fun hanging out with you. We'll do this again very soon, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you very much for watching today. Bye everyone.